50-10 mean to you guys right now? I read an article and the headline was,
it's like taxes,
50,
I'm
10.
current, but I'm not thrilled about it.
Is it a train wreck?
There have been train wrecks. Yeah, we've identified a couple intermediaries that have fallen apart. Some of the payers have had trouble with it. But our clients kind of have come to expect that we'll deal with that stuff, and we do,
In general, though, is the market ready for that, for the transition to 50?
It'll be worse than NPI. It'll be worse than HIPAA. Maybe on par with those combined. Kind of, it'll be about twice as bad as either one of those. But people will get through it. The nice thing about these things is you lose money if you don't fix it.
So you're an optimist.
People fix it.
That's good.
The lab results, 48% of what a doctor orders in Athena today doesn't turn into a result by day 60, and nobody loses any money because of that. That's appalling. As of today, Athena loses that buck. So we're going to find those.
How about ICD-10? Do you see that as a big game changer?
Well, the game's over.
I think I saw your placard downstairs, canceled due to functional disarray in the industry.
I mean, in general, it's nice when your government doesn't act like a middle African junta. The fearless leaders decided to go to the left. Oh, we all should go to the left. The fearless leader's getting bored, he wants to go to the right. Oh, we should all go to the right. The fearless leader wants to do this another day. Okay, let's all go home. It's sort of like, why doesn't the fearless leader sit still and let the game progress? There's some neat stuff that could have come out of ICD-10. A lot of it could have happened without it. It's just a function of staying still long enough to let the market adjust.
Right, and the market is adjusting. I read this paper today.
Yeah,
it was so chock full of funny things. I wanted to get your read on it.
I just saw my funniest thing.
Well, you might find something that I didn't see. For instance, I was shocked.
The word paradigm. It's got to be the funniest word
that's tomorrow.
of 2011.
Paradigm. That's cute.
It's a paradox.
Say,
it's like two ducks. Like you guys are paradox.
Microsoft and GE. Well, they had to come up with something clever. So look, could a Republican president slow health IT? So is healthcare political? Is it that political in the U.S.?
Well, you got.
So is it?
Of course, that's why it's so backwards. Right? You have the biggest customer in healthcare is the government, and they're the regulator. Remember the character Big Louie in Guys and Dolls?
No.
And he's losing. Big Louie's the big, huge guy, and he's got a gun. He's the only character in Guys and Dolls with a gun. He takes off his giant jacket, and there's the, they all see that, right? And he's losing like crazy, and Sky Masterson's, luck, be a lady tonight, and he wins, and he wins, and he wins. At the end, Louie's like, I don't like this game. We're going to play with my dice. And this big guy pulls out these dice, and he's like, and Sky Masterson says, but there's no spots on those dice. Don't worry. I remember where the spots are. Now let's play dice. And all of a sudden, Big Louie starts to win, like every single one. Wow, 7, imagine that.
Magic dice. What do you think of that?
So I think in general, the government is the regulator, but not disinterested, because they don't have the courage to tell their constituents that they can't afford what they've promised them, right? So they have to pay for it. So they're basically using their role as a regulator to try to beat up to win as a player in the market. I understand it and I respect it and it makes sense. I know how it came. I remember World War II, we needed to pay people more, but we didn't want to have wage inflation, so we started offering, I got it, okay. But anyway, here we are. And when you have this random actor like that, entrepreneurs don't want to enter. Because Big Louie could always get out the dots with no spite, the dots with no dice, the dice with no dots. In general, these top-down initiatives where the committee decides what everyone's going to go do in a free country don't work. They don't work, Now, sometimes the fear of it creates a scuttling. You put the magnifying glass on the ants and they run around and maybe they do something, that's not what you thought they'd do, but they do something. I'm cognizant of the fact that lots and lots of health systems are talking about coordinating care, and they were not before 2008. That's interesting.
Are we going down this road? Do we have too much government control over what you're interesting?
So it's a disaster. It's devastating.
I was reading the HIMSS digest version of the ACO regulations, I couldn't understand it. There was 115 pages. That was the Cliff Note version.
And who enters this game? And if you watch the behavior of the government with HIPAA, then with MU, now with ICD-10, it's so fickle. You know, Steve, I was staying at the Wynn Hotel. I saw this videotape of Steve Wynn, who says, "I'm moving my headquarters to China because it's a freer market."
Right.
Oh, nice.
You know, how
Good
offensive
word.
is that? It's like, I got to tell you, they haven't changed their regulations since I opened. Here in the United States, the regulations that cover me have changed 162 times and blah, 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 sometimes more, sometimes less. And it's always by surprise, and I don't understand. You know, I can't grow a business that way. Of course, he seems to be doing okay.
Yeah.
But Athena's doing well. I mean, I'm complaining, but, you know, I just think that we have spent so long without a healthy market in healthcare that we don't even know how to think about it. It's like a foreign, abstract idea. And, you know, I'm sort of continually focused on how can we get more use of that idea so that it's not so foreign. You know, what is the transistor radio that is going to be the great-great-great-great-grandfather of healthcare's iPod or iPhone, right? What is that first move? Is it Athena? We've got a group called More Disruption Please of healthcare entrepreneurs that can use each other as supply chain partners, use us, we'll sell their stuff. If it'll increase the doc's collection for doing the right thing, we'll sell it to our base for them. To get more people to have the courage to enter, even as the government sort of fickly moves in and out, in and out, in and out, scaring the crap out of, you know, investors.
Everyone.
What about meaningful use? Is that more about better medicine or collecting data?
Well, I think they're related, right? I mean, what I viewed, I viewed meaningful use. I do view meaningful use as a moderately successful, certainly successful for Athena as a way of differentiating ourselves from the other guys, right?
You got your dashboard.
83%.
How's that doing? I want to hear
the number.
I want to hear the details on that.
So okay, here's the numbers: 680,000 practicing docs, only 191,000 even register for the program. Of that, 23% make it. Okay.
Do the other 77% not apply, or they fail?
No. Well, so it's, what is that? So 23% of 200,000 is 40,000. So 40,000 out of 600,000, about 8% of guys who could play the game won the game. So, you know,
that's universal.
right? So 70% didn't play, 60% didn't play. Of those who did play, 23% won. Athena, 83% of all of our clinicals clients played and won. Everybody who played won, except for like 6 guys, and everybody played.
How'd you achieve
So that's a
that?
differentiator.
Yes, it is.
We're a cloud-based service. You know, we're the worst cloud-based service in healthcare, and we're the only cloud-based service. There's a lot of wannabes trying to get started, and, you know, oh, we're in Athena, but we're cheaper, or we're in Athena, but we have a Mac, or we're Athena, you know. But it's like 6 guys in a room, you know, some will have some VCs, and, you know, it's fun to watch them. The colors are green, you know, in the thing, and I'm like, it was a terrible idea to make it green. Don't copy that part, you know. But that's the basic, that's the basic gig for me, is get more people to play the game. And you want innovation, you need many buyers, many sellers, and freedom to move about the cabin. Freedom to, if I trade off, if I try this instead of that, if I get the family pack and store it in the basement, I save $1, right? People love that. Groupon, I mean, people say, oh, we're culturally not attuned to low healthcare costs as a society. If we could keep some of that money, we'd be freaking culturally attuned like you read about. But we're not allowed to keep the money, so it's like, all right, do whatever.
There's 1,000 booths in this hall at HIMSS. How many of them do you think are doing something close to the right thing?
So you got 2 groups. You got the new entrants who are here with a tabletop like we were. I remember Bob Huber was here with you pull the little thing up and you hook it on like a home movie thing, but it's got like the little Athena leaf, you know. There's a bunch of those guys. And what they've got is consumer related apps that are like 2 generations ahead of their time. But good stuff. Just, I don't quite know what the business model is. Oh, the payer's gonna pay for it. I'm like, the payer's not gonna do anything, even if they want to. They're too big and dumb, and they're working on their obsolescence right now. They're not, you know, they probably won't break out of it. Or if they do, it'll be like winning the lottery, that you got the one business development guy who pays attention and he did a deal with you, and, you know. So it's happening. I want to be an ecosystem for those guys. I feel like those are the guys who will make a difference. And then you got, the dinosaurs who are running around mating and joint venturing themselves. No, I'm not that. I'm this now. I have a new name. It was like when U.S. Airways went out of business and they did a huge project and they came out with a new airline magazine and they changed their name to U.S. Air.
I want to hear about India.
India.
What are you doing? So not development, installation.
Well, we have these big teams in India. Dell and IBM are two big partners that receive from us. We flash in front of them all of the information that still comes in on paper. So we get about 30,000 pounds of EOB paper from these troglodyte insurers that still can't do electronic funds transfer or can't do electronic, people's Mickey Mouse ear checks, Debbie and Diana Smith, copay $20, that stuff's still part of healthcare. Okay. And our clients don't deal with it because we deal with it, but we scan this paper, and every night whatever got scanned that day gets data entered and then sucked back up into the system, reconciled against the AR. The errors the questionable ones get checked. We do have errors. We have a 0.02% error rate, so 99.98 accuracy.
More than ivory soap.
What?
Better purity than ivory soap.
Oh yeah. But there's a quadrant of them that we're learning a lot more about that are like, we have like one error for every 10, or 6 errors for every 10,000, I think, something like that. I don't remember the exact number, but we got a whole team that then reconciles, those, and you cook it down and figure out what to do next. We also get all of the doctors don't get any faxes when they turn on Athena Clinicals, because we call the phone company and forward those faxes to our data center, and then we read all their faxes, and most of it's lab results. I mean, some of it's pizza menus.
Do you take the data out and have a human being transfer it?
Exactly. Yeah.
How's that working?
So there's some data. There's still object data in a fax. So there's the little, the weird little bar of
with
stuff across the top. So there's the caller ID, and that stuff is objective. You can actually pull that data into a database. So if it says Benny and Jim's home fax, we can't do much with that. But if it says LabCorp Region 6, and the caller ID matches to LabCorp Region 6, we can flash up that this is probably a lab result to one of the lab accessions that went to LabCorp Region 6. So now you have a very narrow subset. We also know it came into practice number 6,221 because it's their fax number that it went to. So now you have an even narrower subset. Now when you do your data matching, where you're looking for orders to match the result to tie out and close the loop, nobody in healthcare closes the loop. Every doctor walks into an exam room, right, and says, so how's the Dilaudid working? Oh, fine. The person didn't even know what you're talking about, but they're not going to say no to the great doctor right then. And so this is closing the loop. But if you're going to close the loop for doctors, you can't only do it for the subset of information that's electronic, because not very much information is electronic. And so that's been a big focus of ours as a company, and we're very excited. We finally got permission to really amp it up this year. We've changed the pricing of clinicals.
Is that the OIG?
Yeah, OIG gave us permission last year. Starting last Monday, the sales force hit the field with the new pricing.
Buck a pop?
Buck a pop. So it's about 40% off of our old price. You still have a percentage of collections fee for all of the reporting, pay for performance rules, and just the basic medical record storage of the data and stuff like that. But then about 40% of the revenue is now a buck a pop, and the receivers are allowed to pay it. Of course, the receivers are dying to pay it because they really like to customize the data that they get from that doctor, but they don't want to piss the doctor off because the doctor's giving them value and they're not giving the doctor any value because that's illegal. Now they can ask for specific data fields. We can change the message. It doesn't interrupt the doctor, but the receiver or the lab or the pharmacy or the specialist or the hospital can get exactly what they need. It still involves paper, We've taken on pre-certs. So now you got to go, in half of these insurance companies, a pre-cert transaction exists, an electronic pre-certification. We have not found one insurance company using it today. So you can go to their website manually and look it up. So we've got starting up an army of people to go and do pre-certs for hospitals. We now serve hospitals, just the front end of their revenue cycle.
Now you rank the insurance companies.
Pay review?
Yeah. You ranking them on the various functionality that they're adding in?
Well, their performance we call it the pain in the butt index, right? It's how big a pain are you, how often do I have to call you, how often do you send stuff to me on paper, How often do I have to resubmit? But what's neat about this change in the clinical supply chain, right, is that it's actually part of there's value, financial value. So doctors are starting to care whether their orders and results match. It means money to them, which means that maybe we'll have referral view, maybe we'll have lab view, maybe we'll have, specialist view, where we'll start to say, look, in this market, which specialists, we now have data that says, hey, when you send a cardiologist A, your patient's chart gets there electronically. The patient is seen in 8 days, an average of 8 days, and the result comes back with a note within 3 days of the visit. If you send a cardiologist B, it's 2 weeks. You get a fax 2 weeks after that. Maybe you start using cardiologist A.
And do you include the quality of care ACO style?
I think right now, knowing that they showed up at all is a major improvement in quality of care. I am not letting us get distracted by abstract, beautiful keynote speech at HIMSS versions of quality of care, while nobody actually does anything electronically anywhere, full stop.
25 years ago, we moved to Florida. Needed a plumber. Opened the biggest full-page ad. The single thing that they thought was most important in the biggest font is, "We show up." And if you're telling me that that's where physicians are...
Yeah, it is. It is. When I send a patient to this hospital, I want to know that they've been pre-certed. I want to know they've been consulted with. I want to know that they've been seen. I want to know that they've been discharged, and I want them back, right? Who cares at this point? Nobody really. It's so esoteric what's quality and what's not. It's known if somebody starts to have bad outcomes or something, we avoid them like the plague, right? But the assumption is 100% quality with whatever that means. Who knows, right? These are the first actual, objective, potentially market-based measures of quality I've ever seen. So yeah, I think it's quality, but it's not keynote quality, it's actual, practical, tactical, day-to-day quality.
HIMSS 2012, we've just been with Jonathan Bush from Athena. It's been great. We could talk all night, but we'll have to adjourn till next time. Thank you.
Thank you, fish people. Thank you, fish watchers.